Don't make a mistake when you move to the metro Atlanta area. That is what I am passionate about, making sure that the people in my world don't make mistakes that they regret when they move into Atlanta. So today I thought I would share with you my guide that will keep you from making mistakes, keep you from having regrets in 2024 if you are moving to Atlanta. So we're gonna break this video up into 3 segments. The first segment is how you can best prepare before you come on a house hunting trip to Atlanta. And here are a few things that I want you to consider. Number 1, commute times to and from work are very important. So that's the first thing that you're gonna do is you're going to pinpoint where on a map you are going to be commuting to and what is the maximum distance you are willing to go or the maximum time you're willing to be in your car each day that you have to commute to and from the office. Now, I have found the best ways to figure out what your commute time could be is to reach out to people that you already know in that area, preferably people that work with you at your new office setting, and ask them, hey, where do you live and how long is your commute there? Some people are completely fine with a 30-minute commute. Other people are fine with an hour-long commute. What I love for my clients is to be somewhere within that 30 to 45 minute or under commute if they're commuting to the city. So in addition to asking your fellow employees about commute times, you can also go to Google Maps. When you go to Google Maps and you put in the address of where you're going to be working to, you can then point different areas in Metro Atlanta or the city of Atlanta to drive from, and then you can pick what time you need to be at work. Now, this is going to give you a pretty big range, but it's definitely going to give you a best case scenario and a worst case scenario. And you know what? Some days are best case scenarios and some days are worst case scenarios with Atlanta traffic. This will at least give you some idea of what to expect. So that's number 1. Check your commute times and develop a radius around your office in which you are willing to commute to and from. The second thing that you can do to make your house hunting trip to Atlanta really successful with no regrets is to go ahead and start researching schools now. If you've got children and public or private schools are important, then you want to go ahead and start researching those schools within that radius that you just came up with, your commute radius. So how do you do that? Obviously, you can go to websites like greatschools.org. That's going to show you school scores based on academics and parental opinion. Now, you can also get on social media and go to parent pages for those different schools and the different areas within that radius that you're going to be looking in. And ask them, hey, my kid is going into this grade. What in your opinion are the best schools? Or my kids slant towards this passion, or my kid might have this learning disability. What schools would you recommend if you were moving to Atlanta again? Another way to research schools ahead of time is to tap back into your employer-employee relationships that you have. Find out from the people that are already living where you're going to be working, where they send their kids to school. Using those 3 tools, you're really going to be able to narrow down the number of schools that you want to target within that already narrowed radius. Now, you begin to develop a plan for when you're coming into Atlanta to do some house hunting. Okay, so you got your general location picked out. You've got the schools, if they're important, picked out. Now it's time to think about recreation. Okay, so this is, what do you like to do? What's important to you when you're not working? Are you a family that's deeply involved in kids sports? So you want to make sure that you find the area with the best baseball or the best football or something like that. If so, you want to be in an area that has convenient access to those types of facilities. Okay, 4th, I want you to think about your transportation needs. Okay, so are you fine if you have to get in a car to drive everywhere? Or are you the type of person that really values being in an in-town setting where you can walk to things, where you can take public transportation, really where you don't even need a car if you don't want one? As an example, listen, if you want walkability and you want public transportation, some of the suburbs may not be the place for you. You might need to focus your search more in town Atlanta. If you want walkability and you're fine still driving places, then some of the suburbs are incredible places for you to live because there's so many cute cute little vibrant downtown areas, both in Atlanta and within an hour radius around Atlanta and even further out. Number 5, when you're planning your trip to Atlanta, you certainly want to make sure that you understand what your budget is. Your budget will then determine where in that radius you need to focus your search. So how do you determine your budget? I'm a strong believer in going ahead and getting pre-approved with a local lender. So how do you find a local lender? Well, number 1, again, ask your fellow employees who they've used. You can certainly hop on social media and ask what referrals they have, or ask the realtor that you're going to be working with who they recommend. And it's so important to find a local lender because they know all of the state laws, they know all of the state requirements, they know how the taxes work, and any state fees that work as well. So pick a local lender, go ahead and get pre-approved so you know what budget and what monthly payment you're going to be working within. Now, let's talk about when you're here in Atlanta and you're doing some house hunting. So the first thing you want to do is you want to set up your in-person consultation with the realtor that you've been referred to or that you found online or maybe even YouTube. But it's time to sit down and have a strategy session with that realtor. So in the strategy session, you're going to bring to them, hey, this is what we're thinking, the area, the schools, the recreation that we want, the transportation that we need, and this is the budget that we're within. Tell us where we could be making mistakes. Tell us what to expect in the location and the price point that we're going to be working within. Where are the opportunities? How much inventory is there? How many days on market are we looking at? What can we expect in terms of negotiation? What's normal in negotiations? What do sellers leave behind? What kind of possession is normal right now? How long does a closing take place? What's the closing process like? I know these are a lot of questions, but really understanding how the process of purchasing a home works in the state that you're moving in, if you're moving from out of state, is so important. So there are no surprises down the road and you're fully prepared. In my strategy sessions, I love to cover the location characteristics and the positives and negatives. I also like to cover the condition. What can you expect to get for your money and how can we maximize your real estate dollar? Also, giving you some advice on your budget. Is your budget realistic for the condition and the location that you want, or do we need to move out a little bit further, push the budget just a little bit, or concede on the condition a little bit? I'm all about making your real estate dollars stretch. And so you want to work with someone very local who understands where the opportunity in the area that you're looking in is and how to best direct you to it. I want to share with you one way to not pick a realtor. If you're being relocated here with a company and going through their relocation department, there's a little secret that they don't tell you. And that secret is you actually can choose who you work with. That agent just has to agree to work with the relocation company. And what I find so often is that the relocation companies will go out of their way to say you have to use our agent, and that is simply not the case. So if you are going through a relocation company, let them know that you plan on interviewing realtors yourself, and ultimately you want to decide who's the best fit for you and who will be the one to help you reach your home buying goals. And yes, that realtor will agree to work with the relocation company so that all of your benefits are protected. So now you're in Atlanta and you're ready to start your house hunting trip. So number 1, I want you to drive through neighborhoods and areas. There is no better way to get a sense of a neighborhood and a street and a home than actually physically driving by it. You can only see so much online and you can only see so much on Google Street View, but I promise you, getting out in the community and driving around will give you so much benefit. The other thing that you can do is stop and talk to neighbors.
I'm shooting B-roll for a real estate video, so
When you're in neighborhoods or in the area, ask them, hey, what do you really like about living in this area or this neighborhood? And listen, if there was one thing that you would change, what would that be? Or if there's one thing that you're not happy about in this area, what is it? Everyone pretty much loves where they live, but there's usually one or two things that, man, if we could change it, it would make it that much better. That's the kind of stuff that you want to learn about. So ask people, what do you like about this area? Hey, what's something you would change about living in this area? Or what's one thing you don't like about this area? Also, visit the schools. The schools love to give you tours. There's nothing like having an in-person tour of a school when the kids are in classes too. It'll give you a sense of how accommodating the administration is, how supportive they might be. Are they smiling? I remember one time my mom told me when I was interviewing, or I was going around interviewing preschool, she said, do the teachers look happy? If the teachers look happy, then the kids are going to be happy. Okay, also get out in the communities. One of my favorite pieces of homework to give my buyers is to go have breakfast, lunch, and dinner in the different little communities that you're considering. I love this because number one, you get to try out great local restaurants. And number two, you get around the people that live in the community and you can begin, again, get a sense of how well do you feel like you fit in and interview them, ask them, hey, what do you love about living here? And again, what did I say? What do you not love about living here? Or what's one thing you would change if you could? In addition to restaurants or when you're full, go ahead and attend some church services. Go to the Little League field and see what that looks like if you're into that. Stop by the equestrian facilities, stop by the football fields, get out, especially on a Saturday, get out there and see what the community is doing. I promise you, you will see life in action and you'll get a good sense of, can we be happy here? Do we fit in? Do we belong here? Or, hey, we need to keep looking. One last note about looking at properties. So if you're in town on a house hunting trip that you need to make a decision, I want you to keep one thing in mind. With low inventory, one of the best things that you can do is when you go into a home, think about how you can make that home work. What would need to happen for it to work for you? Because so often a home buyer will go into a home that they're considering and see all of the ways that it won't work, and then that makes it a no. Well, in a low inventory market, that can be really challenging. That can leave you with with few to no options. So instead, I want you to go into the homes and I want you to say, okay, what would I need to do to this yard to make it work for my family? What would I need to do to this kitchen to make it work for me? What would I need to do with this master bathroom to make it what I want? And then that can determine what you offer on that home. And I promise you, when you find the one, every other buyer will have seen the one as well. So my buyers who are getting the most out of their real estate dollars are the ones that are going into homes and making them what they want to make them. Okay, so that is my guide for people moving into the Atlanta area in 2024. There's so much more to cover that we're just scratching the surface. My name is Kelly Allen. I've been a realtor here in Metro Atlanta for over 25 years. And whether you're thinking about moving in 3 months or 3 years, please reach out to me. It's never too early to set up that strategy session. And I wish you guys all a very happy 2024.